Future Proof is sponsored by Learn Smart Academy, online revision courses for GCSE and A-Level. All your revision in one place, organised for you, interactive and game-changing. Hello and thank you for joining me, Sarah Hopwood. This television series Future Proof is looking at emotionally intelligent leadership, and I've covered many things over the series that I've recorded to date, from interviews and people sharing knowledge and trying to find just inspiring nuggets of information. In this series I'm really trying to look at how to do things, and at the moment I'm looking at how to plan and develop a business, and it can be actually an existing business which you might be revamping, which could well be relevant in these changing times, or it could be about looking at starting up a new business. And this is actually part 2 of a program before where I was looking at the early stages of planning and developing your business. So I was looking at growth and profit solutions, looking at initiatives and ideas that come out from the strategic thinking of looking at where you are now, then looking at where you want to be, and then working out how to get there. And once you've got some of the headings on your how to get there, is then looking at, well, what do I run with first, particularly if you've got lots and lots of ideas. And the answer could be, well, any business to succeed needs to have growth and profits of some form or another. And remember, if you're not growing, then by default you're automatically dying. Nature shows us that if a tree isn't growing, then it is actually, and also human life as well. You know, I'm in that dying process already. So to actually stay static and stay totally still, I believe is not a realistic option. So we're either growing or dying. So that growth doesn't have to be exponential, but it's a matter, if you like, keep treading water and just keep yourself buoyant. That could be seen in some ways as growth. And so you measure and you say, okay, this initiative, what impact will it have on my growth? What impact will it have on my profits? And then the other column I looked at was then, how easy is it to do? And in that ease column, it could be a practical ease. How easy would it be to order, to get it in, to put it up, or whatever else it is? But another category that could fall into how easy is to ask how easy would it be for the staff to adopt this idea? How easy? What's the internal impact on this initiative? And what comes to me, bizarrely, is, for example, a telecom business. And let's say a strategy around service of the customers, or what have you, is that it could be someone comes up with an initiative and says, I know, any internal phone calls, we will guarantee they are picked up on the first ring. So you think, okay, what would that impact? How would that impact our profits and our growth? Arguably, both would be yes. All the customers would be impressed, so they'd like us and they come with us. And then you say, okay, but how easy, what's the internal impact on this? How easy would it be to persuade the staff that this is a very good idea and it can work? And that's where the score might come in really low and go, oh, do you know, they're just going to say it's impossible. They're going to start murmuring. It's going to affect, you know, all the internal sense of, I don't know, fulfillment and job satisfaction and all the rest of it. So that lower score might put you off the whole idea and say, yeah, it's a good idea for our customers, but I really don't think it's good for the staff. I think it's going to have an impact on morale. So that's why it's quite powerful. And then just finishing off the last program, I was talking about Pareto, 80-20. And once you've brainstormed some things, to actually just choose some of your top priorities and then Pareto it. And once you've done that, Pareto the analysis on the magic wand list. There's an example there of Paretoing it. There's your list, and then what is it that you would choose from that list? This is not your list. I'd like you to see these as examples, but please, the most important thing is let them inspire you. But you've got, you know, key points that should be on your list that obviously aren't on this list. So if you're in the boardroom and you've got your magic wand list, you then Pareto it, and the way that you do it is everybody picks their top four, whatever their top four priorities are, without discussion, I would suggest. And sometimes we do it with discussion and people are actually then influenced by what they've heard. I suggest here that everybody just sits quietly, looks at the magic wands, looks at what's on there, and then they select themselves their top four. And then what I always do in the boardroom is I give people pens, and then they come up with their marker pens, and they then will tick their top priorities. And what you can see is, as I click through, you can see, imagining people walking up and ticking, and you can see you will always get clusters. And once you've got clusters, you can then see which are, as a team, the top priorities are. And in this example here, you've got a clearer vision, reduce cost by 10%, and double our sales. That's really important, and it gives you, yes, you've been working from your priorities, but it also shows you how everybody else has been thinking. And so now we need to look at our sustainable competitive advantage. And this is how we work it out. It's looking at what are the key success factors, and these can be, obviously, to every business they can be slightly different, but there are many things that are the same, and you score them. And once you've then scored them as to what you think is valuable to the customer, you can then choose the one that's really important to you. And if the scores are the same, then you just pick everything that's 8 or above, because that is where you can just see what is very important to the success of your business. And then from then on, you only score those that initially scored in that value to customer 8 and above. So that's only remaining 3 here. Then you look at your current ability to beat your competitors, and then your pervasive or impact on the business. So this goes back to what I was just saying before. How much will it directly impact the business? And that includes implementation. And then you score it. And from there, you can then really see. So here, the response time is identified as the most important thing that will give you your sustainable competitive advantage. Okay, from this you can then go into issue ranking, and this is where you use your previous grid and you then mark things, and you can number them, you can see there, and you then mark them on the grid, and you look at your ability to support your sustainable competitive advantage and also the opportunities for improvement. And the key areas you need to look at is obviously the top right hand side box where 5, 6 and 7 feature. So with this issue ranking, part of your decision making process is to run with your ideas that feature in the box of your ability to support your sustainable competitive advantage and your opportunity for improvement. If anything is identified that you then score in other boxes, then that means it's going to be quite hard to do. So the whole point is if there's little opportunity for improvement, or if you're really not going to be able to support this as a sustainable competitive advantage, then you might as well bin it. So this is all about failing quite quickly, failing fast, and I really like that. And it says here, failure to implement is the primary reason businesses cannot maintain a planning process. The purpose of this stage of the process is to put in place strategies and action plans to implement a solution to the 3 key short-term issues facing the business. So key performance indicators, what are they? So what are the key issues that the business is struggling with? And it could be, here as an example, rate of change, response time, and the best people. And there we are scoring it to the value, to the customer, and the internal impact, which I've already talked about. And the key thing here is getting that statement, if you like, your mantra, your strap line, is answering the question of we will win by. So how do you get a strap line? You get it by answering we will win by, and then finish that statement. And that will feature one of those key statements around perhaps rate of change, response time, and best people, and factor in. And what I would say is, if you can, use the word in that statement of you or your. Too often the business talks about itself, I, me, and all the rest of it. If you can use you or your or something like that in your strap line, then you are talking directly to your customer. And the indicators are there as an example, and that's what you benchmark against. Find your own indicators, and then that's how you can fit them on a timeline.